ဆိုရင်ဒီ Tom ရဲ့ fiancé က Lizzie Elliot ဒါပေမဲ့ fiancé ဆိုပြီးတော့လက်ထပ်ဖို့အတွက်တော့သူတို့က engagement လုပ်ထားတဲ့လူတွေတော့မဟုတ်ဘူး Richard Lizzie Carson အားဆိုရင် Mother Boy Carson ပါတယ်ပြီးတော့ Justin Lizzie Carson သူတို့နှစ်ယောက်ကပြီးရင် David Speranza a friend or Aunt Beer who accompanied Lizzie on her journey. The story takes place in England, France and Italy တဲ့အဲကြောင့်မလို့ပါလဲဆိုတော့ဒီမှာကြည့်သူ့ရဲ့ဒီဘက်စာမျက်နှာမှာပါလဲဆိုတော့ London ဆိုရဲဟာပြောရမယ်ဆိုရင် Paris ကိုသွားရတယ်ပြီးသွားလို့ရှိရင်ဘယ်ကိုသွားရလဲဒီဘက်ကိုသွားပြီးတော့ Italy ဘက်ကိုကူးသွားရတယ်တွေ့လားဒီမှာချောင်းတဲ့ရေးထားတယ် CAIAO ချောင်းရေးထားတယ်တွေ့လားဒါလည်း Lizzie ရဲ့ route wedding bells. It was Monday morning and Lizzie Elliot stepped off their bus, her dark hair shining in the sunlight. She bought a newspaper and a coffee and hurried toward her office in the center of London. At 18:15, she stepped inside the modern metal and glass building and took the elevator to the 10th floor. Office Every detail was exactly the same as every other workday. There was nothing to warn Lizzie that her life would soon change forever. Lizzie တော့ expected မဖြစ်နေဘူးတဲ့။ဘာလဲဆိုမျှော်လင့်မထားဘူးသူ့ရဲ့ဘဝကြီးက upside down ဖြစ်သွားမယ်ဆိုတာတဲ့အရင်ကပုံစံမျိုးမဟုတ်ဘဲနဲ့လုံးဝပြောင်းလဲသွားမယ်ဆိုတာ Good weekend, her friend Jane asked as Lizzie took off her jacket and sat down at the desk. I watched Tom play football again in the rain, she smiled and switched on her computer. That was it, Jane asked, shaking her head. Lizzie, what's the point of living in London if you spend your weekends watching Tom play football and then stay and watching movie? TV တဲ့။အခုလန်ဒန်မှာနေရမှာလဲတဲ့အတိတ်ပဲမရှိလိုက်တာတဲ့နင်းနဲ့တနေ့တဲ့အဲ့ Tom ပေါ့သူ့ရဲ့သူလက်ထပ်မဲ့လူရဲ့football ကစားကိုကြည့်လိုက်အချိန်ကုန်သွားလိုက်ပဲလားတဲ့။ Lizzie held up her hand and pointed to the shiny diamond rings on her fingers. ဘာလဲဆိုတော့အဲ့မှာဘာကြောင့်ဒီလူကိုအချိန်ပေးရလဲဆိုတဲ့ဟာကိုသူကပြောပြပြီ။ဘာလဲဆိုတော့သူတို့ကမကြမီလက်ထပ်တော့မယ် engage ကို propose လုပ်ထားပြီးပြီ။သူ့ရဲ့လက်မှာစိန်လက်စွပ်လေးတစ်ခုရှိတယ်။ She had only been wearing it for 3 weeks. 3 ပတ်ပဲရှိသေးတယ် but it still felt heavy and a little bit strange on her hand. We're saving our money. Remember, Tom said we should buy a house soon, and then we have the wedding to pay for. Have you set a date yet? သူကပါလဲဆိုတော့လက်ထပ်ဖို့အတွက်အချိန်အတိအကျရပြီလားတဲ့ Lizzie shook her head. It had been a month since Tom asked her to marry him. He didn't seem in any hurry to plan the wedding, and it was just fine by Lizzie. She wanted time to get used to the idea. It all seemed so adult somehow. Well, I think you should enjoy yourself while you can. You have plenty of time to save up for the wedding. Why don't you go on holiday together somewhere exciting? Lizzie looked at the rain falling outside the window. A holiday? Now that was a great idea. She met Tom in their usual restaurant. He gave her a quick kiss before glancing back at the menu. While they waited for their food, he told her about Gills, a friend from work at the bank who was leaving to go traveling. It's a crazy idea. Why does he want to leave such a good job? Still, it must be exciting to go off on an adventure, Lizzie said. In fact, I was thinking that you and I could go on holiday somewhere. Tom looked at in surprise. But we're saving our money for the wedding, he said. I know, but there's no hurry. We could go somewhere warm and sunny. Tom shook his head. You know I hate the heat, and the beaches are my ideas of hell. He added. Okay, so what about a skiing holiday? He turned his attention back to the menu. No, thank you, dangerous and cold. What's the fun in that? Well, where would you like to go? Lizzie asked. I'm going on a trip to Scotland with a football club in September. I'm not sure if girlfriends are invited, but I can check if you want. If you like, he offered. No thanks. Don't look so unhappy, Lizzie. I got a surprise for you. I wasn't going to tell you till later, but you look like you need something to cheer you up. What is it? Lizzie asked, leaning forward. Tom paused and then whispered, I found us a house to look at. Appointments all arranged for tomorrow afternoon at 1:30. I meet you outside your office. He looked at Lizzie's face. You don't look very excited. The waiter arrived with their food. Lizzie waited for him to go and then put her hand on Tom. It's a surprise, that's all. I didn't think we'd be looking at houses for a while. Why wait? Tom asked. And we should start planning the wedding too. What about September or October after my football trip? We can talk about it tomorrow after we look at the house. Yes, let's talk about it tomorrow, Lizzie said and started to eat. Back in her office, Lizzie told her friends about the house and the wedding plans. You don't look very happy about it, Jane said. It's all happening a little first. Lizzie bit her lips and stared at the computer screen. She noticed Jane looking at her. Don't get me wrong, I want to marry John, of course. I mean, who wouldn't? Everyone thinks he's lovely. You mean your mother thinks he's lovely? Jane asked, crossing her arms. Okay. It was true. Her mother, Viola, thought Tom was wonderful. What her mother wanted most for her daughter was a good career and a good marriage. She had always taught Lizzie that it was important to be sensible, and marrying Tom was certainly a sensible thing to do. So why didn't Lizzie feel happier about it? The phone rang. What? That's probably your mother calling to discuss what to wear for the wedding. Jane grinned. Shh, Lizzie said. She listened to the voice at the end of the phone. After a moment, she whispered, I'll come right away. Jane looked at her friend's white face and her smile disappeared. What it is, Lizzie? What happened? That was my mother. She just got the news from my aunt has died. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you closed? Yes. No. Lizzie put her hand on her head. I haven't seen her for a long time. Sorry, I got to go, Jane. To her horror, she realized that she was about to cry. Before Jane could say anything else, Lizzie picked up her bag and coat and hurried out. သူ့ရဲ့ auntie ကသေသွားပြီဒီအောင်အတမထွက်တော့ beer လား Challenge. It had been over 20 years since she last saw her aunt. Her aunt used to stay with Lizzie and her mother on the way back from some exciting place. Lizzie thought she was the most interesting person in the world. She could turn the most ordinary things into an adventure, though they haven't seen each other for so long. Lizzie felt a special connection to her aunt. Lizzie remembered the final visit. It was her birthday, and her aunt arrived with the tickets to go and see a show. Later, they returned to the house, tired and loving. Lizzie's mother was preparing vegetables for their dinner. Her back was straight and tense. Lizzie looked from her mother to her aunt, knew that something was wrong. Aunt put her fingers to her lips, and the laughter stopped. That night, she lay in bed listening to her mother's and her aunt's angry voices downstairs. Walking quietly to the top of the stairs, she sat and listened. You have to let the girl have some fun, she heard her aunt say. Every detail of her life planned out for her already, school, university, and then some boring office job until she retired. I hope she finds the strength to do something different. Otherwise, one day she'll wake up and realize that she never really lived. Fun won't help her to put food on her plate or a roof over her head. She's not your daughter. She's mine. She had never heard her mother's voice sound so cold. Then there was the sound of a door slamming loudly. And when Lizzie got up for school the next morning, Aunt had gone. သူတို့ကပြန်ဖြစ်လိုက်တယ်တဲ့သူ့ရဲ့တူဟိုစာအမေနဲ့သူ့ရဲ့အတော်ကပြန်ဖြစ်တယ်ကလေးအတွက် Her mother refused to answer Lizzie's questions. For a long time, whenever she heard the mail being delivered, Lizzie would rush to the door, expecting to find a letter written in her aunt's familiar green ink. But years passed without a word. Though Lizzie never forgot Aunt, she stopped waiting to hear from her. Lizzie parked the car outside her mother's house, walked past the path. The front door opened and her mother disappeared. Sorry, her mother appeared. I'm sorry I have to give you such sad news over the phone, darling. Her mother's eyes were red. How did it happen? Lizzie asked. Come and talk to Aunt's friend. He came all the way from Italy to deliver the news. He can answer all your questions. She took Lizzie inside, where a man was sitting looking at the garden. It was David. Her mother introduced them. Lizzie realized that she had been expecting someone her aunt's age, but David was much younger. She had dark hair and wore a leather jacket. I'm very sorry for your loss, he said, shaking her hand. Aunt was a good friend to my parents and to me. I live in a cottage very near her farm. He waited until Lizzie sat down and then quietly told her that Aunt had been ill for over a year. He spoke about Aunt's life on a small farm near Lucca in Italy, how she walked and cycled every day in the hay around the farm almost until the end. Why didn't anyone tell us she was ill? I didn't even know that she lived in Italy. Lizzie was surprised by the anger in her voice. Shoot! Lizzie, isn't Mr. David's fault, her mother said. David looked uncomfortable. I understand that this is a shock for you, but Aunt didn't want anyone to know that she was ill. The day before she died, she gave me your mother's address and asked me to deliver a letter to you in person. Okay. He reached in his pocket, took out a letter, and gave it to Lizzie. Read it and let me know what you decide. Here's my cell phone number. I leave you and your mother to talk now. I really am very sorry. While her mother walked David to the door, Lizzie ran her fingers over the letter. Her heart hurt, and as he looked at the familiar green ink that she had not seen for so long, finally taking a deep breath, she opened the letter and began to read. Dearest Lizzie, you have always been in my heart, and I think of you often. Don't be sad. I have had a wonderful life, and I am in a place that had made me happiest. Lizzie, I want you to have my farm and land in Italy. You are the only person who will appreciate how special the place is. I hope that it brings you the same happiness that it gave me. There is some money too. My lawyer will give you the details when the time comes. But first, you must accept a challenge. I want you to cycle from France to Italy. Your journey will start in Fontainebleau, near Paris, and at the end near Lucca. Do you remember my old blue-white bicycle? Well, that's what you will ride as you travel through Europe. One more thing, you can't bring any money on the journey. Don't worry, I know it can be done. It can be done because this is the journey I want on when I find my lovely home 20 years ago. As a little girl, you were brave and independent and free. That little girl would have loved this adventure. David will help you get started. You need to leave as soon as possible, and he will travel with you as far as, and then you are on your own. Have fun. I know you can do it. With all my love, always. And P.S. If you decide not to accept the challenge, then the farm and the money will go to your cousin Richard and Justin. Richard နဲ့ Justin ကိုပေးလိုက်မယ်တဲ့သူ့ရဲ့ကြံခဲ့ရဲ့အမွေတွေကို Lizzie knew that her cousins were only interested in one thing, money. Richard and Justin would probably sell off Ant's farm and the land without even visiting it. Ant would have known that too. Oh, very clever, and thanks very much, she sighed. Before Lizzie could put the letter away, her mother returned to the room. Can I read it? Her mother took the letter without waiting for a reply and read it quickly. Obviously, you are not going to do this. I haven't had time to think, Lizzie said, taking the letter back. You don't need to think about it, her mother said. It was a crazy idea. You're far too busy at work. And what about Tom? Anyway, it's just not you, darling. What do you mean? Lizzie asked. I mean that this sort of thing is for someone like Aunt, not a sensible girl like you. Yeah, that's me, a sensible girl with a plan, Lizzie said, putting the letter carefully into her bag. Of course, her mother was right always. Cycling 500 miles across Europe on an Asian bike was a crazy idea, simply crazy. Decision time. She didn't sleep well, dreaming that she was at work and her smart business suit had turned into a white wedding dress and appeared in the dream, wheeling her old blue and white bicycle. Come on, Lizzie, she said. You know you can do it. When she got to work, she phoned Tom and told him about Ant's challenge. It's a crazy idea, he said, sounding just like her mother. I suppose they both right, she said later to Jane. Jane surprised her by saying, No, Tom and your mom are wrong. This isn't their decision. It's yours. Don't you see? This is a perfect opportunity for you to finally make a decision that isn't sensible and planned. Sometimes there's a look in your eyes that says you've been waiting for a chance like this all your life, Lizzie. You probably have lots of holiday left and you can't ask Mr. Carton for unpaid leave, Jane said. How many coffee have you had this morning? I think you fried your brain. Lizzie shook her head, turning on her computer. Fine. Jane picked up the document from the desk. But why did your aunt give you this challenge? There must be a reason. Lizzie sighed. She has been asked herself the same questions. When James left, she picked up the phone to call David to tell him that she wouldn't accept Ant's challenge, but something made her put it down again. She would call him later lunch, she promised herself. At 12:30, Sunday she went down to the reception desk on the ground floor of the office block where she's worked. Tom has called to ask her to meet him. He said he had a surprise to cheer her up. As she stepped outside of the elevator, she saw her cousin, Richard and Justin, waiting. It was too late to turn back. They have already seen her. Lizzie, we heard about poor Aunt and we came to see if you all right. It was such a shock, Richard said. She looked at him in surprise. Richard was usually never sympathetic. She put his arms around her and started walking towards the door. Justin walked beside him and carried a small white dog that barked loudly. We also heard about your challenge, Richard continued, and we can't imagine little cousin Lizzie cycling all the way from France to Italy. Can we, Posy? Justin said in a baby voice to the dog as he fed it a biscuit. Thanks for coming to see me. but I am late. I'm meeting Tom, Lizzie said, pretending to check her watch. It won't take a minute, Richard said, putting his arm out to stop her. We had there's a letter that said that if you don't complete the cycle ride, then Aunt Farm and Harmony will go to Justin and me. How do you know about the letter? She demanded. He tapped a finger to his nose. I have my contacts. Lizzie could guess who the contact was. Her mother probably phoned Richard after she left. The Corzens always seemed able to fool Viola into thinking they were wonderful and kind. Listen, we made this easy for you. Contact Mr. Speranza and tell him that you aren't going to cycle to Italy. Justin and I will get the money and the house, and we share the money with you. So you get around 150,000 euros for doing nothing. You don't even need to go near a bike. Richard looked pleased with himself. Of course, Richard, I get the farm and land in Italy, Justin said quite quickly. Yes, of course, Richard agreed. What makes you think that I won't cycle to Italy? Lizzie asked, soothing her scat. The brother and sister looked at each other and laughed.